Hi there, good evening. I'm Anand from Zeal Immigration. I'm here to discuss one of the two most important IELTS modules. Any guesses? I know what you must be thinking. It's either reading or writing. And you're absolutely right in your guess. Because that is the common observation. That is what most of the test takers think, that reading and writing are very difficult. When it comes to reading, when they see long passages, first of all, they run out of breath while reading those passages. In addition, the vocabulary that they come across befuddles them a great deal. Sometimes they don't understand the meaning of the words. Sometimes they get the context wrong. However, when it comes to reading, they make a very common mistake. Now, what is it? That mistake is, instead of paying attention to questions, they pay more attention to passages. What does it mean? Instead of perusing the questions meticulously, understanding them, interpreting them, they are more fascinated with the information given in the passage. They rush to read it. They always read in a hurry. However, they are not very mindful about the time. As we all know that reading is a timed exercise. You have to answer all the 40 questions in 1 hour. Therefore, time management is one of the most important skills that you need to develop when solving reading passages. Let us understand what criteria are important in reading, or what skills or what parameters you have to inculcate in order to answer all the 40 questions accurately. When it comes to reading, we understand majority of candidates are not voracious readers. They are not in the habit of reading regularly. All they do is read text messages, WhatsApp messages, but they never engage in full-fledged reading. This is one of the reasons they encounter a big trouble in reading. Now, when it comes to academic reading, we all know that there are different types of questions that test takers come across. What are they? Headings, true, false not given, yes, no not given, diagram labeling, multiple choice single answer, summary with options, summary without options, and many more. Now, every question type has a particular strategy which you need to inculcate so that you can answer the question appropriately. Unless you do that, you might always land yourself in trouble. Yeah, that is the case. So today, I have picked one important reading question type for you, which we will solve together. This way, you will learn the technique of solving this particular question type, and this will certainly strengthen your reading skills. So let's start with it. That important question type is, any guesses? Yes, most of you got it right. It is headings. So today, we will discuss headings. We will learn the techniques of how to discern the answers when it comes to headings. I can understand from experience that headings befuddle you a great deal. When you see them, you start perspiring. So, that is the reason I have come up with this topic so that I can explain this strategy to you in detail and we can solve some headings together to understand its actual application. I have picked one passage from Cambridge book. Yes, this is the 6th edition of book. I know it is relatively old, but as they say, old is gold. Also, one more disclaimer. I have picked a passage that is relatively not so difficult. Now, the reason I have done that is I don't want to confound you. The purpose of this video is to explain everything to you and make sure that the tricks and strategies marinate into your subconscious. I don't want to confound you, or I don't want to just be a big mouth who just says big thing without any real life application. So let's start with it. The passage which I have picked for you is from test 4, reading passage 1. This is called a list of headings. So now let us first of all understand how to go about reading. We know one thing for sure, that reading passages are very long. They are about 750 to 850 words in length. And it's not a cakewalk to read the entire passage and retain important details and information in order to find out the answers later. Therefore, there's a trick for reading. Now again, from my experience, I would like to recommend 2 tricks. The first one is for voracious readers. Now, who are voracious readers? The ones who are engrossed in books all the time. They are in the habit of reading. They read extensively. So for such readers, it's very easy to understand, interpret, and discern the answers. It's comparatively easier for them to retain the information. So what such readers do? They read the passage first and then they jump to questions. Again, they go back to the passage to find out the answers. It's easy for them because they can retain the information. They have been reading for a long time. They are voracious readers. But that's not the case with majority of test takers. Majority of test takers are common readers. What does it mean? They are not in the reading habit. Even if they read, they don't read frequently. They read books once in a blue moon. They read short articles, or they read messages on social networking websites. So their reading is limited to such content only. Such kind of readers find it very hard to discern the answers because when they read the passages, first of all, they don't understand the complexity of sentence structures. We know this is an international language test. So, the complexity of structures is bound to be very different from what we come across in newspaper articles. The test designers are experts. They consider every aspect and only then they design the test. So we can certainly understand the degree of their knowledge and expertise. Therefore, for readers who are not too much into reading, I have a recommendation that instead of directly reading the passage, it would be better if you read the questions first. Because when it comes to a particular question type, there's a pattern which you need to learn. So we will learn it today. So I have a list of headings here with me. Now, the first advice to all of you is, it would be really helpful if you went through the list completely and understood the meaning of each heading. Because without understanding the meaning of heading, you will always find it difficult to match it with the paragraph. So let us go through this list. The first heading is, not all doctors are persuaded. Now let us understand, in headings itself, you will come across many words of whose meaning you will not be familiar with. In such a case, I would recommend that test takers who have an elementary and intermediate level, they should use a dictionary, while others who have an above intermediate and advanced level, it won't be so difficult for them to understand the meaning. So let me explain the meaning of this word to you. What does it mean? Not all doctors are persuaded. Persuaded means convinced. Second, choosing the best offers. Now the heading says you are choosing the best offers. Third, it's a question. Who is responsible for increase in promotions? Now here a question is being asked. So any paragraph which contains an answer to this question or a question along the same lines matches this heading. Fourth, fighting the drug companies. What are drug companies? Pharmaceutical companies. Fifth, an example of what doctors expect from drug companies. So an example, the word is very clear, it's specific. An example of what doctors expect from drug companies. Then we have, gifts include financial incentives. The term is very particular in nature, financial incentives. Then we have, research shows that promotion works. How do we come to know that promotion works? Research shows. Again, here the use of word is very specific. Research shows that promotion works. Then we have the high cost of research. Again, we are not talking about the high cost of advertising, marketing, production. It's very specific, the high cost of research. Then we have the positive side of drugs promotion. So here, this particular sentence or heading emphasizes the positive side of drugs promotion. And finally, the last heading, again it's a question. What does it say? It says, who really pays for doctors' free gifts? Again, now any paragraph that contains an answer to this question or a question along the same lines matches this particular heading. The heading says, who really pays for doctors' free gifts? Now, let's jump to the passage after going through the list of headings carefully. And this is what you should do. That is my strong recommendation. It's very important that you become familiar with the questions, you understand the meaning, you interpret the meaning of the questions. Now, the passage that we have, So it's important that you read the title of the passage because it will give you some valuable insights into the nature of the passage. Now, what is the title? The title says Doctoring Sales. Now here, doctoring has been used in the capacity of a verb. If you doctor something, it also means you fabricate it. So here, you are doctoring sales means you are fostering the sales in a way which is again questionable. Now let us go through the first paragraph that we have and try to find out the answer to this particular paragraph. I'll read it aloud for you. I want all of you to listen to it carefully and find for yourselves which is the suitable heading. Paragraph A. A few months ago, Kim Schaefer, sales representative of a major global pharmaceutical company, walked into a medical center in New York to bring information and free samples of her company's latest products. That day, she was lucky. A doctor was available to see her. The last rep offered me a trip to Florida. What do you have? It's a question. The physician asked. He was only half joking. Now, when it comes to headings, again, I have an important piece of advice for you. You have to read the topic sentence carefully. Now, what is a topic sentence? Topic sentence is the first sentence of the paragraph, which will let you know what the entire paragraph is about. Now, if you don't get the answer in the topic sentence, you can read the last sentence because that technically concludes that particular paragraph with any link which might be hidden and which might lead to the second paragraph. However, it's important that you read these two sentences carefully, though I don't say that you don't have to read the middle part because it is equally important. It will explain to you or it will broaden your understanding of the entire passage and of that particular paragraph. Now, after reading this particular paragraph, let's jump back to the list of headings that we have. Now, this paragraph specifically talked about doctors' expectations. And how do we come to know? From the last sentence. I will read it again for you so that you understand. The last rep offered me a trip to Florida. What do you have? It's a question. A person is asking the other person, what do you have? The last person offered me a trip to Florida. What about you? What are you offering me? So that shows I am demonstrating my expectations. I expect something from you. And what does it mean? If you took this hint into consideration, on the basis of this hint, you can easily figure out which is the most suitable or correct heading in this particular case. I won't go through the list again, but let me tell you the most appropriate or correct heading in this case is an example of what doctors expect from drug companies. Because the last sentence, the question that we have, it vividly highlights the expectations of a physician from a representative. Now let us jump to paragraph B. Let's read it and try to match the heading. I'll read it aloud for you so that you understand everything. Paragraph B. What was on offer that day was a pair of tickets for a New York musical. But on any given day, what Schaefer can offer is typical for today's drugs rep. A cart trunk full of promotional gifts and gadgets. A budget that could buy lunches and dinners for a small country, hundreds of free drug samples, and the freedom to give a physician $200 to prescribe her new product to the next 6 patients who fit the drug's profile. And she also has a few $1,000 honoraria to offer in exchange for doctor's attendance at her company's next educational lecture. Now, after reading this paragraph carefully, we understand that this particular paragraph talks about promotional gifts. However, in addition to just promotional gifts like gadgets and others, it also talks about money. $200 to prescribe the drug, $1,000 honoraria. What does it mean? When we take these hints into consideration, the picture becomes clear that this particular paragraph talks about financial incentives, and it is heading number 6. Gifts include financial incentives. So that's how you need to be very smart when you solve the headings. First of all, you need to read the paragraph meticulously. You have to try to understand. Concentration is again one of the important skills, because if you remain distracted throughout reading, I am sure you will never get the results that you expect from yourself. So yes, you have to be very careful. Now, I'll pick one more and last paragraph randomly. I'll do it randomly, right? So that we can understand headings in greater details. Now let's jump to paragraph F. I'll again read it aloud for you so that you understand it. Paragraph F. Free samples of new and expensive drugs might be the single most effective way of getting doctors and patients to become loyal to a product. Salespeople hand out hundreds of dollars worth samples each week, 7.2 billion worth of them in 1 year. Though few comprehensive studies have been conducted, one by the University of Washington investigated how drug sample availability affected what physicians prescribe. A total of 131 doctors self-reported their prescribing patterns. The conclusion was that the availability of samples led them to dispense and prescribe drugs that differed from their preferred drug choice. Now, when we read this particular paragraph, we come to know it's all about study, because the 4th line clearly indicates, though few comprehensive studies have been conducted. Now, what is a study? It is a research. One by the University of Washington investigated. What did it investigate? How drug sample availability affected what physicians prescribe. Now here, this study which was conducted, it was about the availability of drug samples. Now what are these drug samples? They are a tool of promotion. And again, the other key is study. What is a study? It is technically a research. So when we go through the list of headings again, it becomes very clear that the heading that matches this is research shows that promotion works. It is heading number 7. That's all for today. I hope you understood in crux what headings are all about, and when solving headings, you have to first go through the list of headings meticulously, underline the keywords, try to understand the meaning, and then you can jump to the passage and start reading paragraphs independently. While doing so, it's very important that you read the topic sentence, which is the first sentence and last sentence. Though middle part of the paragraph is equally important, you don't have to overlook it. So that's all about headings. I hope my session was useful. Thanks a lot.